Capricorn, if you're here right now, this is not an accident. Something inside you felt the shift before anything happened, a quiet pressure, a signal beneath the surface. This is not a prediction. This is a warning wrapped in protection, because someone tried to slow you down, and the universe noticed. Before we go deeper, ground yourself with me. Type in the comments, "I received this message with clarity and strength." Good, because what's about to unfold is not small, and it explains why everything changes on the 20th. Stay with me, Capricorn. Stay with me for a moment, not because you need answers right now, but because something in you already knows that this moment matters. You didn't arrive here by scrolling too long. You didn't land on this message by coincidence. You felt it, a quiet pull, almost like the air shifted before a storm. You are the kind of soul who notices things before they become obvious. You feel movement before it has a name, pressure before it turns into noise. And lately, your body has been speaking to you, not loudly, not dramatically, just enough to make you pause. A restlessness you couldn't explain, a sense that something around you felt slightly off. Conversations that sounded normal but didn't sit right in your chest. You tried to rationalize it. You always do. You told yourself it was stress, fatigue, responsibility piling up the way it always does. But deep down, you knew it wasn't just that. Because Capricorn intuition doesn't scream. It hums, low, steady, persistent. And when it hums for this long, it's not asking for attention. It's asking for trust. The 20th isn't arriving to shake you. It isn't here to punish or frighten you. It's arriving as confirmation, a quiet nod from the universe saying you weren't imagining it. You weren't being too sensitive. You weren't reading too much into things. You were reading them correctly. Sometimes the most dangerous moments aren't loud or chaotic. They're subtle. They hide behind routine. They blend into familiarity. And you, more than most, have learned how to survive by staying steady, by holding the structure, by being the one who doesn't flinch. But even mountains feel tremors before the ground shifts. So, let me ask you something, and don't answer out loud. Just notice what happens inside. When was the last time you ignored a feeling that later proved you right? When was the last time you sensed a shift, but stayed quiet to keep the peace? When was the last time your inner voice whispered, "Slow down, pay attention, something is changing"? There's no judgment here, only recognition. Because this is not about fear, it's about awareness, the kind that arrives softly before life makes its move. Right now, you're standing at that edge, not falling, not pushing forward yet either, just aware. And awareness is where your strength actually begins. Take a breath with me, slow, deliberate, let your shoulders drop. Let the noise settle. If it feels right, type this quietly in the comments as a way of grounding yourself. I trust my inner signals, that's all. No performance, no explanation. Because once you acknowledge what you feel, the path starts to clarify on its own. And as you stay here with me, you'll begin to understand why the pressure you've been sensing isn't meant to crush you. It's meant to position you, not for conflict, not for confrontation, but for a moment where clarity becomes unavoidable and what no longer belongs can no longer stay. And that is where things truly begin to move. Capricorn, there is something else you need to hear, and I want you to hear it gently. Not everything that tries to stop you comes with noise. Not every challenge announces itself loudly. You are not the kind of soul people confront head on. Your strength is too steady for that, too grounded, too consistent. So, when resistance appears in your life, it rarely looks like opposition. It looks like closeness. It looks like smiles that linger a second too long. It sounds like concern wrapped in friendly words. It feels like advice that quietly pulls you off your path. And because you are loyal by nature, because you value commitment, because you do not abandon what you build, you often give people the benefit of the doubt. You tell yourself they mean well. You tell yourself not everyone understands your pace. You tell yourself it is easier to stay silent than to create tension. But there is a difference between peace and self-abandonment. Sometimes the most dangerous energy is not anger. It is envy that pretends to care. Not the dramatic kind, the quiet kind, the kind that watches you grow and feels smaller because of it. You may have noticed it already in subtle ways. A moment where your excitement was met with hesitation. A success that was acknowledged but not celebrated. a sense that when you rise, someone nearby becomes uncomfortable. This is not betrayal in the cinematic sense. There are no sharp edges, no obvious wounds. It is slower than that, softer, more strategic. And that is why it matters. Because Capricorn, you are built to endure pressure. You can carry weight longer than most. You can keep going even when others would stop. But that strength is exactly what some people rely on. They lean on your reliability. They benefit from your discipline. They trust that you will not call things out because you value stability. And without realizing it, you may have been carrying more than your share. Not just responsibility, but emotional weight that was never meant to be yours. Here is the part I want you to sit with. If someone truly wants you to succeed, your growth will not threaten them. Your clarity will not unsettle them. Your progress will not need to be managed. You will feel supported, not slowed. This is not about cutting people off. It is about noticing where your energy leaks, where your light dims slightly after certain conversations, where your motivation fades for reasons you cannot logically explain. Those moments are information, quiet but precise. And as you listen closely now, you may already feel your body responding, a tightening in the chest, a recognition you did not want to name before. That awareness is not meant to harden you. It is meant to protect you. You do not need to confront. You do not need to accuse. You do not need to prove anything. All you need is to stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Because the truth is, anything that relies on you being smaller cannot survive your expansion. And something about this realization changes how you stand, how you breathe, how you hold yourself in the world. You are not becoming colder. You are becoming clearer. And clarity has a way of quietly rearranging everything around you without force, without drama, without announcement. Just a subtle shift, a rebalancing. And as that balance begins to return, you may notice that what once felt close no longer feels aligned, not wrong, just no longer able to walk beside you. And that is not loss, that is alignment. Stay with that feeling, let it settle, because once you see this, you cannot unsee it. And from here, your path begins to feel different under your feet. Capricorn. There comes a moment when guessing quietly comes to an end. Not because you demanded answers, not because you pushed, but because the truth grows tired of hiding. The 20th carries that kind of energy, the kind that does not shout, the kind that simply stands still and lets everything fall into place. You may not notice it at first. It could arrive through something small, a sentence said without thinking, a pause where there used to be certainty, a look that lingers just long enough to reveal what words never did. And suddenly, what once felt confusing begins to make sense. Not all at once, not dramatically, but clearly. You realize that the discomfort you felt was not anxiety, it was awareness. You realize the moments you brushed aside were not meaningless. They were signals waiting for confirmation. And in that quiet recognition, something inside you settles. You stop replaying conversations in your head. You stop wondering if you were too sensitive. You stop asking yourself whether you imagined things. Because now you see the pattern, the small inconsistencies align. The silence speaks, the hesitation explains itself, and without anger, without shock, without the need to confront you, arrive at a simple knowing. You were right. That realization does not come with victory. It comes with relief, a deep exhale, the kind your body has been holding back for longer than you realized. Capricorn. This is what clarity feels like, not sharp, not cruel, just honest. And honesty changes how you carry yourself. Your shoulders relax, your voice steadies. Your thoughts no longer spiral. You do not need to explain this truth to anyone. You do not need to defend it. You do not need to make it loud. The truth does not ask for permission to be real. It simply is. And once it arrives, your energy begins to reorganize itself. Not around fear, not around obligation, but around alignment. You may notice that certain conversations no longer pull you in. Certain dynamics lose their grip. Certain expectations quietly dissolve, not because you rejected them, but because they can no longer exist in the light of what you now understand. There is a calm that comes with this, a steadiness that feels familiar, like coming back to yourself. You are not losing anything in this moment. You are reclaiming perspective, and perspective is one of your greatest strengths. It allows you to move forward without bitterness, without resentment, without carrying unnecessary weight. You do not harden here, you refine. You become more precise with where you place your time, your energy, your trust. And as that precision sharpens, you begin to sense something else, a quiet shift beneath your feet, a subtle forward pull. Nothing urgent, nothing forced. Just a feeling that the ground ahead of you is clearer, more stable, more honest. And as you stand there with this new clarity settling into your bones, you may realize that this moment was never about exposure. It was about release. Let that understanding breathe inside you. Let it anchor you. Because once the truth reveals itself, the path does not stay hidden for long, and without rushing, without hesitation, you find yourself ready to take the next step with eyes open and footing steady. Capricorn, there is something important I want you to hear, and I want you to hear it slowly. What begins to fall away now is not you. It never was. You have always been the one who holds, the one who stays steady when things get uncomfortable, the one who carries weight quietly because someone has to. You learned early that responsibility does not ask how you feel. It simply arrives, and you meet it. You stayed because it felt right. You endured because you gave your word. You remained silent because chaos felt heavier than carrying the burden alone. That is who you are, strong, reliable, built to last. But strength was never meant to mean sacrifice without end. There is a moment when even the strongest foundation can no longer support what is built on imbalance. And that moment is not failure, it is truth. Around the 20th, you may notice something shift, not abruptly, not violently. It might feel like a quiet loosening. A structure you assumed was solid suddenly shows its cracks. A situation you kept alive through effort no longer responds to your care. A role you played out of duty no longer fits your shape. This is not because you did something wrong. It is because you have grown. And growth has a way of exposing what cannot grow with you. You did not break this. You did not push it away. You did not sabotage anything. You simply became heavier with truth, and what was hollow could not hold its place anymore. There is grief in that, even when the release is necessary. Capricorn hearts are loyal hearts. You do not detach easily. You honor history. You respect effort. So, if you feel a quiet ache as something slips out of alignment, that does not mean you are weak. It means you are human. Sit with that for a moment. Let it be real, because something important happens here. You stop blaming yourself. You stop replaying the past. You stop asking what you could have done differently. You begin to understand that not everything is meant to be carried forward. Some things are meant to end not in anger, but in acknowledgement. And in that acknowledgement, there is dignity. You are not losing stability. You are releasing weight. You are not watching something collapse. You are watching yourself stand more fully in who you have become. This is the quiet courage of Capricorn, the kind that does not seek applause, the kind that simply chooses integrity over endurance that no longer serves. As this settles, you may notice a strange calm moving in, not relief exactly, but clarity, the kind that allows you to breathe deeper, the kind that reminds you that your strength does not come from holding everything together. It comes from knowing what deserves to remain. And as you let go without resentment, without forcing closure, something else begins to rearrange itself inside you. Your posture changes, your energy steadies, your sense of direction sharpens. You are not standing in ruins. You are standing in space, clean, open, ready. And in that space, without rushing, without pressure, you begin to feel something new forming, not behind you, not above you, ahead of you, quiet, solid, waiting. And as you remain here with me, allowing this understanding to settle into your body, you may sense that what is coming does not ask you to struggle. It asks you to walk forward, lighter, clearer, and finally unencumbered. Capricorn, there is something almost sacred about the way you respond to pressure. When the world tightens around you, most people scatter. They react. They speak too quickly. They lose themselves in noise. You do the opposite. You grow still, not frozen, focused. It is in those moments when expectations pile up, when circumstances press in from all sides, that your real strength begins to surface. You do not panic. You do not dramatize. You do not waste energy explaining yourself. Something inside you clicks into place. Your decisions become quieter but sharper. Your boundaries become firmer without needing to be announced. You stop negotiating with what drains you. You stop offering access to your inner world to anyone who has not earned it. And perhaps for the first time, you do this without guilt, because you begin to understand that strength does not always look like endurance. Sometimes it looks like precision. You choose where to stand, where to invest your time, where your presence truly matters. And you notice how much energy you used to spend trying to be understood by people who were never listening. Now you let your actions speak. There is a calm confidence in that. Not arrogance, not coldness, clarity. You realize you no longer need permission to be decisive. You no longer need approval to trust your own timing. You have carried enough. You have proven yourself enough. This is not the season for justification. It is the season for alignment. And alignment changes the way you move. Your voice slows. Your posture straightens. Your presence becomes unmistakable. You may notice that people respond differently to you now. Some step closer. Others step back. Not because you changed who you are, but because you stopped shrinking. And there is something deeply healing about that moment. The moment you realize you do not owe softness to those who misuse it. You do not owe explanations for choosing your own stability. You owe yourself honesty. As this settles in, you may feel a quiet heat in your chest. Not anger, resolve. The kind that says, I know who I am, and I am no longer available for what undermines me. This is not hardness. This is maturity. You are not closing your heart. You are protecting its rhythm. And when you protect your rhythm, life begins to respond differently. Opportunities feel cleaner. Choices feel clearer. Paths feel more intentional. You are not rushing forward. You are moving with purpose. Each step measured, each decision grounded. And as you walk this way without noise, without announcement, you may notice something subtle unfolding around you. Resistance softens. Distractions lose their grip. What once demanded your energy no longer holds the same power. You are not fighting anything. You are simply no longer available for what does not align. And in that availability, something else begins to meet you. A sense of momentum. Quiet, steady, not forced, not dramatic, just forward. Let that feeling stay with you. Let it anchor you in your body. Because this version of you, the one who moves without apology, the one who acts without needing to explain, the one who trusts their own authority, this version is not temporary. It is becoming familiar. And as you continue walking grounded in this clarity, you may sense that the road ahead is not asking you to push harder. It is asking you to keep going exactly as you are now. Capricorn, let me stay close to you here, because something subtle begins to happen now. And subtle things are easy to miss if you rush. After the 20th, you may notice that life does not push you. It nudges you, not with urgency, not with pressure, but with timing so precise it almost feels personal. A door opens sooner than expected, not because you forced it, but because you finally released what was blocking the frame. You did not beg for this opening. You did not chase it. You stepped back, you exhaled, and suddenly there was space. That is how alignment works. Opportunities do not arrive screaming your name. They arrive calmly as if they were always meant to be there, waiting for you to be ready to notice. You may feel it in small moments, a conversation that flows effortlessly, an invitation that feels right in your body before your mind can analyze it. A person crosses your path, and instead of draining you, they steady you. They do not pull you backward into old patterns. They do not ask you to explain your worth. They walk beside you, matching your pace, respecting your silence. And you realize something important. Support does not have to be loud to be real. There is a quiet intelligence at work here, something arranging timing so you do not have to fight anymore. You may look back and notice how many times you tried to make things happen when they were not meant to move yet. How much effort you spent pushing doors that stayed shut, no matter how hard you leaned. And now, with less force, with more clarity, movement comes naturally. This is not coincidence. This is response. The universe listens differently when you listen to yourself. You may feel a steady momentum building, not excitement that burns out quickly, but confidence that settles in your bones. The kind that says, I am exactly where I need to be, and I am moving at the right speed. Nothing flashy, nothing dramatic, just forward motion that feels sustainable. Take a moment and notice your breath. Notice how it flows when you are not bracing, when you are not anticipating resistance. That ease is the signal. You are no longer being tested. You are being supported. And support does not always look like gifts falling from the sky. Sometimes it looks like obstacles quietly stepping aside. Sometimes it looks like clarity arriving before confusion has time to grow. You may feel guided without knowing why. A sense of yes in your chest that does not need justification. Trust that. Because the force moving you forward now does not rush. It does not demand. It aligns. And alignment feels like relief mixed with purpose. You are not being carried. You are being met. Met by people who see your strength and do not compete with it. Met by opportunities that respect your discipline and reward your patience. Met by a rhythm that matches your nature, steady, intentional, unshakable. As you continue walking with this awareness, you may notice that effort no longer feels heavy. Action feels cleaner. Decisions feel less complicated. You are not trying to control the outcome anymore. You are cooperating with timing, and timing, when it finally clicks, feels like grace. Let that sink in. Let it anchor you. Because this quiet momentum, this unseen hand guiding your steps, is not temporary. It is the result of everything you have already done and everything you finally chose to release. And as you stay open to this movement without forcing direction, you may sense that the path ahead is not asking you to prove anything. It is simply inviting you to keep walking supported, steady, and fully present in what is unfolding now. Capricorn, stay with me here. This part matters more than it looks, because after everything you have felt, after the clarity, after the quiet momentum beginning to move beneath your feet, there comes a moment that does not wait. It does not announce itself loudly. It does not knock twice. It appears briefly, almost casually, and then it asks something of you. A choice. Not the kind that shakes your world on the surface, but the kind that quietly redirects your future. You might recognize it when it arrives. Your body will know before your mind does. It could come as an offer that feels slightly uncomfortable. Not wrong, just unfamiliar. It could come through a conversation where something honest is finally spoken and you are given a chance to respond differently than before. It could show up as an opportunity you once told yourself you were not ready for, or not allowed to want. And the strange thing is, it will not feel dramatic. It will feel calm, clear, almost ordinary. That is how real turning points work. This moment will not linger, not because it is fragile, but because it respects momentum. If you hesitate too long, it will quietly move on, without punishment, without regret. Not everything is meant to chase you. And here is where Capricorn often pauses. You weigh responsibility. You consider consequences. You replay scenarios in your mind, trying to choose the safest path. That instinct has served you well. It built your resilience. It taught you patience. But this time, the question is different. This time it is not, will this be easy? Or will this be approved? The question is, does this expand me or does it keep me small? You will feel the answer in your chest, not as excitement exactly, more like steadiness. A quiet sense of yes, even if fear is still present. Because fear does not always mean stop. Sometimes it simply means this matters. And when you choose from that place, from inner certainty, not external validation, something shifts immediately. You may not see results right away, but you will feel alignment, a subtle relief, a sense that your steps finally match your direction. You might even think this is harder than staying where I was, and you would be right. But harder does not mean wrong. The right path for Capricorn often asks for courage before comfort, integrity before ease. And when you take that step without rushing, without forcing confidence, you do not yet feel you begin to trust yourself in a new way. Not the self that survives, the self that chooses. That trust is everything. Because once you act from that place, you no longer look back wondering what if. You move forward knowing I honored myself even when it scared me, and that knowing stays with you. It steadies your spine, it strengthens your voice, it changes how you meet the world. You are no longer waiting for permission to move. You are responding to timing, and timing now is precise. As this settles into, you notice how your breath changes, how your body feels when you imagine saying yes instead of postponing. That calm strength is your compass. You are not being rushed, you are being invited to trust that you can handle what comes next. Invited to step into something that would never reach you if you stayed where you were. And as you remain with that awareness, without overthinking, without retreating, you may sense that this choice was never meant to trap you. It was meant to free you. And once made, it opens space for something else to meet you right on time. Capricorn, let everything soften here, just for a moment. After the 20th, after the choice has been made, after the quiet courage it took to step forward, something settles. Not with noise, not with celebration, with space. You begin to notice it in simple ways. Your body feels lighter when you wake up. Your thoughts do not crowd each other the way they used to. The constant background tension, the one you learned to live with, is no longer there. You are not fixing anything anymore. You are not managing other people's emotions. You are not holding conversations together out of obligation. And it surprises you how much energy that used to take. There is a calm clarity now. The kind that does not need to be explained. The kind that lets you move through your day without being pulled into every small drama, every unnecessary reaction, every story that does not truly belong to you. You realize something quietly profound. You are no longer standing in the same emotional space as the people who once tried to slow you down. Not because you rejected them, not because you became distant on purpose, but because your frequency changed. Growth does that. Some connections dissolve naturally like fog when the sun rises. There is no argument, no closure speech, just distance that feels appropriate. And instead of loss, you feel relief. You no longer have to shrink your ambition. You no longer have to soften your truth to keep others comfortable. Your presence feels grounded. Your silence feels powerful. Your boundaries feel effortless. And here is the part I want you to really feel. This is not isolation. This is alignment. As certain people fall away, others begin to appear. Not all at once, not dramatically. They show up in small ways. A conversation that feels mutual. A connection that respects your pace. A presence that does not ask you to prove your worth. You feel seen without being scrutinized. Supported without being controlled. These are not people who compete with your growth. They recognize it. They walk beside it. And you understand now that the universe was not removing things from your life to punish you. It was making room. Room for relationships that do not drain you. Room for goals that actually belong to you. Room for a version of yourself that no longer lives in defense mode. You are not harder now. You are clearer. And clarity is a form of kindness both to yourself and to the world. Because when you stand in your truth, you stop participating in patterns that keep everyone stuck. You lead by example without trying to lead. You show others what it looks like to choose integrity over endurance that costs the soul. This is why what you are experiencing now does not feel like an ending. It feels like arrival, not at a destination but into your own authority. You are standing on ground that holds you. You are breathing air that feels clean. You are moving forward without dragging the past behind you. And the most important thing to remember as this settles into your life is this. Nothing that truly belongs with you will need you to be smaller. Nothing meant to walk with you will ask you to abandon yourself. The pressure you felt before was never meant to break you. It was meant to lift you out of spaces that could no longer contain you. They tried to pull you down at the exact moment the universe decided you were ready to rise. And now, without force, without urgency, without looking back, you continue forward, lighter, clearer, and quietly unstoppable. Capricorn. Before we part tonight, I want you to notice something. You're still here, not because I held you with words, but because something inside you recognized itself. That quiet strength, that steady breath, that feeling of finally being understood without having to explain. That's not coincidence, that's resonance. You didn't listen to this message to escape your life. You listened to remember who you are inside it. And if there's one thing I want you to take with you now, it's this. Nothing is wrong with you for outgrowing certain spaces. Nothing is broken in you for choosing clarity over comfort. Nothing is lost when you finally trust your own timing. If this message met you where you are, leave a comment below. Just one sentence is enough. Say, I trust myself now. Not for me, for you. And if you're not already part of this space, subscribe. Not because you need guidance, but because you belong in rooms where growth is honored and silence is respected. This channel isn't about predictions. It's about alignment. About remembering that your path doesn't need permission to unfold. Tonight, let yourself rest knowing this. You're not behind. You're not late. You're not missing anything meant for you. You're exactly where your next step can find you. And the journey doesn't end here. Another message is already forming. Another moment of clarity is approaching. So stay close, stay open, and most of all, stay loyal to yourself. Until we meet again, Capricorn, walk gently, stand firmly, and trust the quiet power that's always been yours. Good night.